Well, things really aren't looking too good for Doctor Who lately, are they? The Rotten Tomatoes audience score for Series 11 is now down to 23%. The New Year's special had record low ratings. You can use any excuse you want, but it seems pretty clear now that fans and the general audience is starting to turn away from Doctor Who in droves. What is most telling is the critic versus audience reaction on Rotten Tomatoes for Resolution. Let's look at the critic consensus and see their justification for this perfect rating. With a fresh take on familiar villains, it wasn't a fresh take. Chibs just found a roundabout way to change the Dalek's gender and managed the worst design ever with his junkyard Dalek. And a renewed sense of stakes. Not really, and I was cheering for the Dalek. Resolution is a strong series special that surprises in both story and spectacle. No it wasn't, and no it didn't. But it did surprise me with its complete and utter stupidity. For a start, how about shutting down UNIT to insert a Brexit joke, or the idiocy of the way Ryan's dad was portrayed, and just what was with the microwave, Chibs? What's most telling is the audience score for Resolution, which is now sitting at 16%. Nobody likes this special. At least nobody that looks at it objectively can say it was a good special. What we are seeing here is where Doctor Who died. Yeah, it will be back at some point in 2020, but it will be little more than a walking corpse at that point. The polarization on both sides will have died off and nobody will care anymore. Chibs and Whittaker will only be lecturing to a handful of people, but we'll have a blast ripping it apart because I'm sure they will double down on everything. The responses to the series will be much more enjoyable than the series itself. If there is any doubt about Chibs and Whittaker being in denial, or maybe it merely demonstrates that they just don't care, then check out Whittaker's statements during the special preview screening of Resolution. Keep in mind this was published on December 30th, before we knew what a complete and utter flop Resolution would be. This adds even more humor to this article from Digital Spy. Doctor Who's Jodie Whittaker says she's proved anyone, boy or girl, can play the Doctor, and responds to the doubters now that her first series has aired. Well, Jodie, the doubters now seem to encompass almost everyone, and gender is almost irrelevant at this point. What you've proven is that you can't play the Doctor. Whittaker says it's wonderful to see the public accept a female Doctor. It's all about gender with them now, isn't it? Most fans wouldn't have a problem with a female Doctor if the actress was, actually capable of pulling off the role. And that isn't you, Jodie. We can get a lot of humor from this next statement, and this is the only line of defense they still have at this point. And it really isn't much of a defense if you actually look at it. Whittaker's debut run of episodes was one of the most watched series of the BBC sci-fi show for years, and has pulled in predominantly positive reviews. No, while it did get good ratings, especially the premiere, this is because people were curious and gave the series a chance. This was the only series that managed a steady decline in viewers over a 9-episode stretch in the final consolidated ratings, meaning that as people left, they didn't come back. It then managed a paltry increase for its terrible non-event finale. As for positive reviews, well, all it did was demonstrate that the media and quote professional reviewers are completely out of line with what regular people thought about the series and entertainment in general. I once again reference Resolution as Exhibit 1. The overnights were a complete disaster and we all know why. Yet surprise, surprise, the critics loved it. At the screening, Whittaker responds to a fan's question about what it was like to be the first woman Doctor. It's interesting. It's a question I have to answer, because obviously the history of the show has always been a male Doctor. Gender is all you have, Whittaker. It's all the critics have, and the only thing you all focus on. But I've never walked around thinking, I'm a girl in this situation. Oh, really? Jodie, this kind of contradicts every interview you've given on the subject, and I guess you forgot your episode-long rant known as the Witchfinders. There have been times where I realized that there may have been some doors that were at a different angle to me because of being a woman. And here we go. Whenever a third-wave feminist goes there, you know that they are merely using it as a shield to hide their own deficiencies. Jodie, there are many actresses that are capable of pulling off this role, and you aren't one of them. I suppose playing the Doctor, because it's an alien and because the Doctor has 2 hearts, it means you don't need any qualifications. You just need to go like that, gesturing outwards with open arms. And that can be boy or girl. She really likes going to this qualifications argument, doesn't she? Jodie. Not everyone can take on the role of the Doctor. It requires a very specific acting skill set, which involves demonstrating that you are the 2,000-year-old Time Lord we've been following for 55 years, while, at the same time, giving us a completely new take on the role. You haven't managed to do either of those things. You seem to think that your gender is the only qualification you need in Chibnall's disaster piece era of Doctor Who. Actually, I guess that is all you needed, and some people still wonder why Doctor Who is now falling flat on its face. I think we knew that, but it's wonderful to be the first person in a position to really say, see, we can do it. No, Jodie, you can't do it. Not because of your gender. You just can't do it. Another young fan asked Whittaker what was the best thing about being the Doctor, and her inspired response earned a round of applause from the audience at the BFI South Bank in London. Well, this should be interesting. I wonder how far we'll get into the answer before gender and perhaps a victim complex come into play. One of the most incredible things is endless possibilities, she said. As humans, we don't often feel that life deals us that card. Yep, there you have it. This woman who was already in a position of privilege before getting the role still thinks she's been dealt a bad card because gender. Next, Jodie addresses the brainwashing that occurred during Series 11. I think being the Doctor makes you see life in an open-hearted, not towards white males though, Jodie, and adventurous way, and it makes me want to share that outlook. And knowing that, as a young Doctor Who fan, you potentially can carry that outlook on is very exciting. And there you have it. Doctor Who's whole purpose is now to evangelize its twisted ideological message. This is no longer about a man who travels through time in a police box. It's now about indoctrination. And that's it for today. Don't forget to subscribe and follow me on Twitter. And as always, everyone, thank you for watching, and have a great day.